Give a man a fish and you feed him for a day. Sign him up for the Box of Bait Club and he'll never be hungry again. The Box of Bait Club is a brand new dream come true for every fisherman. Something new and different in your tackle box every month. Every month, another excuse to get outside and do what you love. Don't let this one get away. The Box of Bait Club is currently accepting a limited number of pre-orders with subscriptions starting at $39.95 per month. Find out more now. Log on to boxofbaitclub.com.
I'm just so happy my father had a chance to see his kids before he passed. I just want to say thank you.
When her father fell ill, the American Red Cross was able to help get Veronica's brother home from the Navy to speak to his father one last time. It's thanks to your donations that we can connect military families when they need it most. Please donate today at redcross.org.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. And then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-616-8010. That's 1-800-616-8010. Again, 1-800-616-8010. Call now.
Are you tired of commuting to a job that makes someone else rich? Working harder than ever, but getting nowhere? Do you hate spending hundreds of dollars every week on daycare? Having someone else raise your children? With our opportunities, you can start earning money as soon as next week. You get to be the boss, work from home, and live a happier life. At Be the Boss Network, you'll find hundreds of work-from-home opportunities that you can literally start today and be earning money as soon as next week. Go to freedom133.com and start earning money as soon as next week. You get to be the boss. Get out of the rat race. Work from home. Go to freedom133.com right now and change your life today. That's freedom133.com. Go to freedom133.com and start earning money as soon as next week. You be the boss. Go to freedom133.com.
Attention business owners. We know that owning a business means getting things done right now. So if your right now list includes a new building, call the Right Now Company. General Steel. We can design a building for your business quickly and save you thousands of dollars. That's right, thousands. You may think General Steel only builds large projects or that you can't afford General Steel quality. Well, check these prices. How about a 40 by 60 foot building for under $22,000 or even a 50 by 100 for under $35,000? That's right, a 5,000 square foot building for under $35,000. And these buildings all have General Steel quality. Best of all, you can still order a building and have it delivered in time to build this year. How's that for right now? So if your right now list includes a new building, call the Right Now Company, General Steel.
800-393-5756. 800-393-5756. 800-393-5756. That's 800-393-5756.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
Boy, man, I had a rough night's sleep. Boy, I got a letter from the IRS yesterday, and I just couldn't sleep. Man, I'm dying here. Somebody help me.
IRS problems affect more than just your finances. If you're ready to take back control of your life and you owe more than $10,000, you need to call the tax doctor. Their expert staff can immediately protect you from the IRS and state collectors and get you the best possible tax settlement guaranteed. The IRS has recently released new programs geared in helping struggling taxpayers, where you may qualify to settle your tax debt and wipe out up to 85% or more of what you currently owe. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes, call the tax doctor right now. See if you qualify to pay less. 800-989-1694. 800-989-1694. 800-989-1694. Again, 800-989-1694.
You want to know what time it is? It's time to bring the rain.
Zinc Media. Feel the power of knowledge.
Good morning, my fellow Americans. It is I, your lovable host, L. Rod, coming to you live from my bunkerized home studio somewhere within the great granite state of New Hampshire, where the state motto is still live free or die. It is not big government or bust. It is Wednesday, February the 10th in the year of our Lord 2016. The call-in number this morning is still 603-835-3224. Again, that's 603-835-3224. It is also Ash Wednesday. How appropriate that we have Ash Wednesday after the First in the Nation primary day. Yesterday was a rather incredible day. I had a very long day yesterday because of the primary, and there were some interesting people that passed through Radio Row yesterday. Yes, for those of you who had forgotten, I was on Radio Row with WLMV 90.7 Manchester, New Hampshire Family Radio. We were on the air for quite some time, from about 3 to 7. Yes, yours truly went out and voted in the primary, and then headed off to Manchester to anchor the New Hampshire Family Radio broadcasting desk. I have never been to anything like that before. This was my first time actually experiencing stuff like that from the inside, as it were. Man, it was a royal cluster, you know what. Unbelievable setup. Now, I'm not just, because, we were in a room. You had a bunch of radio stations in a room. And you would think that you would have a hard time concentrating and talking, because everybody would be in there talking and shouting everything. That was not the case. It was organized chaos. But you didn't really have a problem with other people talking around you. You were able to focus in on the people that you were talking to and talking with. But the rest of the hotel, the Radisson Hotel, it was a maddening scene. The first and second floors were just totally taken over by the media. TV, radio, satellite, even cable networks. I mean, it was just redonkulous, as they say. And amazing, and everything just seemed to go off without a hitch. But it was just amazing. Now, I had missed many of the candidates coming in, because most of the candidates, I guess, went through all their processes of addressing the media earlier in the day in the morning before I got there, which is okay. I did get some good interviews in, and there was a gentleman, and you know, I always forget these people's names, and that's my bad. A gentleman that was a part of the Hillary Clinton Department of State, and I had one of my co-hosts on the network, because it was also a part of. We also did the right group from that location, the 4 to 6 part. But I did an interview with a gentleman. Now, I don't know if you can actually get a recording of this. I should probably find out. But did an interview with a gentleman who was deep within the Clinton State Department. Now, from my understanding, after the interview, he was under the impression that he was coming to speak to a bunch of liberal radio talk show hosts. Now, I don't know why they would think that in New Hampshire, when most of the radio talk show hosts in New Hampshire are right-leaning at the least. But my co-host saved him. One of my co-hosts saved him. Because this is why I do not interview people on my program. Because as we were getting deeper and deeper into our conversation, I got to tell you, I was getting not so much emotionally ticked, but I was getting intellectually pissed. And I was starting to get to some pointed questions. And everybody else could tell that this guy was getting extremely uncomfortable. Look, there were like 4 or 5 people sitting at our table, and it just seemed like it was this guy and me. That's it. And he was getting so uncomfortable that he started looking around, looking for somebody to come rescue him. Now, that was not my observance. That was everybody else's observance around the two of us. They said, yeah, Rod, it looked like he was starting to get really uncomfortable looking around for somebody to come save him. Because I wasn't buying his BS. I wasn't buying it. He was talking out of both sides of his mouth, which is typical of the Obama administration, by the way. Very typical. Now, I'm not patting myself on the back. I'm just saying that I want honest answers to my questions, because that's what the American people deserve. That is what my listeners deserve. They deserve honest. This is why I do not interview these kinds of people. Because let me tell you, you want to talk about contentious? Oh, we'd get into it. And I know some people say, well, that's why you should probably do it, right? I'm like, no, that's exactly why I should not. Because my personality and my core being will not allow me to do anything but, and that's dangerous. That is dangerous. And it's not dangerous for them. Dangerous for me. Do I have fear? No, I don't have a fear. But I'm just saying I can get my point across and point out their idiocy in other ways. I don't need to be the attack dog. Because I am a bulldog. When it comes to, I have always been that way. I remember when we were having a I have this BS meter that just goes off and doesn't accept things. And I remember one time when I was in high school, our school district, North Syracuse School District in New York, they had we were having year after year for a while, there seemed to be school funding budget issues. And they'd go every year they'd go to the public and try to raise property taxes to increase the school's budget. And the property owners and people of the school district would vote it down. And then they'd come back with another budget, and everybody knew that they were going to come back with a stupid budget. There was even one year, this particular year, voters in the district voted down a budget. Then they came back with a second budget that was bigger than the first budget that got rejected. And we realized that they were doing that on purpose. And, of course, the voters rejected that one resoundingly as well. Well, that meant that the school district had to go into something called an austerity budget. Now, an austerity budget means that a lot of things get cut, especially extracurricular activities, including sports. So, yes, I went to a high school where we didn't have a fall sports program because they didn't get a budget approved until November of that year. So, no, there was no football, there was no fall soccer, no cross country, no extracurricular activities. There was no student government because they couldn't pay for the advisors. There were no clubs, no band. All that stuff was shuttered for an entire semester. Now, while we were fighting, or I shouldn't say fighting, but there were contentious public hearings throughout the fall. And one of those public hearings, there was a something called a sports booster club. Now, here was my problem. Now, everybody got up there, they said their piece, and they were trying to be, all wonderful for everything to the sports booster club. But here was my problem. The sports booster club was said that they raised a lot of money to try to convince people to pass the budgets. So now my BS meter, even at that age, went off. And so I stood up and asked, well, if you are the sports booster program, why aren't you raising money to pay for the sports programs instead of trying to get these politicians to write a decent budget? Now, the first thing that happened is all my fellow students and a bunch of adults sitting around me were trying to get me to shut up and sit down. They're on our side, Rod. Sit down. They're on our side. And I'm looking, how are they on our side when they're not helping? I ended up on the TV news. Everybody else was buying their BS. I wasn't. It made no sense for you to raise $100,000 to go around spending it to try to convince people to vote yes on the school budgets that nobody wanted, instead of taking that $100,000 and putting it into this actual sports and after-school programs. That, to me, seemed to be more logical. Well, I tell you what, 2 years later, the entire program of the Sports Booster Club, it did change. They elected new officers, and they did start paying directly for sports programs instead of trying to raise money to convince people to pass school budgets. So I have a very, very delicate BS meter. And when it goes off big time. I just don't buy that crap. I just don't buy it. And neither should you. And it looks like there were a lot of people last night or yesterday, the New Hampshire primary, whose BS meters went off. Well, at least on the Democratic side, because I got to tell you, I'll get into. Well, you know what? Well, I'm gonna tackle the Republican side first, because the Democratic side is just ridiculous. Let me tell you, it's just unbelievable what's happening over there. But the Republican side of the primary, Donald Trump crushed it. I'm a little bit surprised and amazed by that. I'm always honest with you, so I'm telling you, I'm a little surprised by that. Yeah, I saw all the polls kept saying he was had a double-digit lead, but I didn't think he would more than double the support from his next closest rival. And I was also shocked to find that John Kasich came in a rather convincing second compared to the rest of the field. Now, there was a poll that said John Kasich was second, and of course, in late yesterday, or Monday, we had this stupid poll that I just did not buy at all, that Jeb Bush had jumped into second place, a solid second place. I'm like, yeah, you guys are really pushing this one. Nobody's buying that one. However, the interesting dichotomy of this state is really, New Hampshire sometimes is really hard to gauge because we've got a lot of moderates and liberals that have moved up or moved in and settled in from such places as Massachusetts, New York, California. There are a lot of California plates in apartment building parking lots around in southern New Hampshire. So we've been inundated with some liberalism. It hasn't come naturally. It's been imported. That's why I always say, come visit New Hampshire, have a nice vacation, then go home. We don't need you wanting to move here permanently. But Donald Trump got 35% of the vote, John Kasich 16%. You want to talk about a landslide? Now, I think since the primary system has been noted, New Hampshire has picked the Republican nominee in all but 3 times in the primary history. So with those odds, that's why people say, Iowa picks corn, New Hampshire picks presidents. With those odds, it is a very good shot. Donald Trump is going to win the nomination. I know there are a lot of people out there that are probably, holding their heads and saying, "Oh no, don't say that, Rod. Don't say that." Well, historically speaking, that would be the best bet to place. Especially when you look at, this is probably the biggest win in a primary, in a Republican primary in this state. Now I did a quick search and I couldn't find where a spread was bigger. 35-16. It's more than double the support. It's more than double the amount of votes. So you understand that. Kasich got roughly 43,000 votes, and Trump got roughly 95,000 votes. Could you do you? That's more than double. So what we have here is we have the Trump train just turned into a Trump jet. And it's blasting. Well, maybe might even be a Trump rocket blasting into Carolina for the next go round. Now, rounding it out, you had Ted Cruz at 12%, Jeb Bush at 11%. Surprise. Yes, surprise. This is why I'm not sure I fully understand. There was some definite push, but for the number of votes that Jeb Bush got, and the number of votes that he got, and the amount of money that he spent approximately $1,200 per vote. Now you got Ted Cruz, on the other hand, because Jeb Bush spent something like $36 million here in New Hampshire. $36 million. Now, Ted Cruz, on the other hand, and because the Cruz camp is spinning this as a win. And now you have to remember, these are the same people that chastised Donald Trump for spinning his second-place finish in Iowa as a win. Well, Ted Cruz came in third with only 12% of the vote. Donald Trump nearly tripled his support. But Ted Cruz's camp spun New Hampshire as a victory for Ted Cruz because he only spent $580,000 for his third-place finish. Now, Donald Trump did the same thing in Iowa, but spent less than that. And that was not a win for Donald in Iowa. Strong second place. What was he, 3-4 points behind Ted? Not 20 points behind. 20 some odd, 23, 22 points behind. But I guess Ted Cruz is saying, his camp saying, well, this is a win for Ted because it was only $580,000 spent. Even the Donald spent a little over $3 million here in New Hampshire. We only spent about $500,000. We came in third. It's a win for Cruz. Marco Rubio came in fourth, 11%. Chris Christie, surprising fifth place finish at 7%. Well, actually, Jeb and Marco kind of tied. They're less than 1,000 votes separated. This is about 500 votes separated the two. Ben Carson was at 2% and Carly Fiorina at 4%. And now rumors are that Carson will be dropping out for good this time. And that's too bad. I did like Dr. Carson, but it is time that the field started to continue to thin out. The surprising thing is that Rand Paul still got nearly 2,000 votes, or 1%. Even George Pataki got votes. And Bobby Jindal. Well, I guess those people really wanted, they had their candidates and they wanted them to be represented up there on the board, I suppose. Governor Jim Gilmore, who I interviewed yesterday as well, did very poorly, only about 130 votes. This guy is, look, actually talking to him and listening to his responses. He's a sincere man. I believe that he is a very sincere man. And he has got some qualifications. He's very presidential. And when you ask him a question, he answers that question, and he looks you dead in the eye to answer the question. He doesn't turn away or look away. And some of the questions that I was asking him, I could hear the passion in his voice, and maybe even a bit of slight anger, especially when it came to 9/11 and military issues. Slight anger versus what the Obama administration has been doing. But I just don't. Evidently, for whatever reason, the former Virginia governor, this just wasn't his time. Wasn't his time. But he had a lot of good things, I got a lot of good things to say about Jim Gilmore. And even though I'm not into professional politicians, I hope in the next Republican administration that there is a good, strong, prominent position available for him. I don't know what, but he's an intelligent guy. He's an experienced person. He's got a lot of knowledge. He knows how to react to crisis. And he knows how to get the job done. So, I don't know. Will they actually bring him into the fold, so to speak, when it comes to the next administration? Hopefully a Republican administration. I don't know, but I do hope that there is a position for former Governor of Virginia, Jim Gilmore. But we'll have to see. We will have to see. But, folks, we do got to take a break right now. But when we come back, I'll get more into the Democratic side. This is going to be good stuff, folks.
Your credit score is a joke, and you're too embarrassed to let anyone know your 3-digit score. Sucks to be you, but it doesn't have to. Delete all those unsightly derogatory items, collections, charge-offs, repossessions, judgments, tax liens, bankruptcies, and foreclosures. To turbo boost your credit scores, call 888-541-5571 or visit us at 700creditnow.com. You've heard the old adage, cash is king. But in some cases, credit can be just as powerful as cash. Not many people have $200,000 to put down on a house, or $50,000 to put down on a car, or $25,000 to put down in a business. But look around and you'll find that millions of Americans do have homes and cars all purchased with little to no money down. To turbo boost your credit scores, call 888-541-5571. Again, that's 888-541-5571 or visit us at www.700creditnow.com.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. And then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-616-8010. That's 1-800-616-8010. Again, 1-800-616-8010. Call now.
Did you ever look at the stains in your coffee cup and then realize that's exactly what happens to your teeth? Power Swabs is the 5-minute solution to get your teeth white without visiting the dentist. This is Ben Gordon with Power Swabs, and if your teeth are stained from coffee, tea, or smoking, all it takes is 5 minutes with Power Swabs. In 5 minutes, you'll see an average of 2 shades whiter teeth, and in 7 days, 6 shades. It's clinically proven to whiten natural teeth as well as caps and veneers. The secret is a tooth detergent that was developed by Dr. Martin Ginniger that lifts stains off of your teeth. Best of all, there's no messy strips or trays that you have to leave in your mouth for an hour. Just swab your teeth for 5 minutes and you're done. To try Power Swabs risk-free, call 1-800-291-5140. That's 1-800-291-5140. I guarantee your bright white smile will have your friends talking about how great you look. Try it risk-free today. 1-800-291-5140. That's 1-800-291-5140.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
When you're ready to take the edge off a hectic day, I suggest you start with a little music from Franz Black.
I guess there's lots of ways to look at things that don't seem right.
No Worries has just been released on iTunes and Amazon.
It's gonna be alright.
You can find Franz Black and his music on his website, franzblack.com. Franz black.com.
It's gonna be alright.
You want to know what time it is? It's time to bring the rain.
603-835-3224 is the number to call should you wish to join me here live on the Rod Eccles Show. I am your lovable host, El Rod, coming to you live from my bunkerized home studio somewhere within the great grand estate of New Hampshire as we continue on with the program. I got something here before I get into the Democratic results of the primary. This is I got this off of Facebook. This is a Facebook posting. This person is sharing this statement monthly because there are people that say it says it all. Now, it's about Bernie Sanders. There is a secret, and this is the statement now. This is obviously not me. This is the statement by one Randolph Greer. Greer. Randolph Greer. There is a secret to being a supporter of Bernie Sanders. It is something that totally escapes the thinking of most Democrats and Republicans. It is a mental understanding that Sanders is fighting a war that most people are not. It is the war between corporations and the people. Unless you are fighting this war as well, you cannot possibly understand how important it is to vote for Bernie over Hillary. This is not about Hillary or Bernie. It's about fighting your real enemies, the multinational corporations who are trying to control this nation and the world. You ignore this war at your own peril. Signed, Randolph Greer. Now, I have never read a bigger load of tripe in all my life. Now, first of all, fighting all these, you idiots on the left, you support these multinational corporations that you say you hate so much. I mean, you support one of the biggest multinational corporations on the planet saying, oh, they're so wonderful. Apple is such a great product, and Apple is such a great company, and Apple is so progressive and forward-thinking. I mean, Apple has got an openly gay man as the CEO and chief executive officer and president and all that kind of wonderful stuff. And Steve Jobs, who everybody says was a total jerk, was such a wonderful forward-thinking man. And we're willing to spend a premium on Apple products, which is a what? Multinational corporation. Who what? Employs a lot of Americans. And then you talk about Wall Street. I don't know how many times I've tried to tell people about this. If you are trying to rein in Wall Street, that is like trying to rein in real estate. Because the people that have the most money in Wall Street are your average everyday Americans. Your parents, you stupid millennials. My parents don't own stocks. Oh, BS, they don't. Do your parents have a 401k? Do they have any type of mutual funds? How about your college fund that they probably tried to pay for some of your college debt with? Guarantee you that most of it is in the stock market, Wall Street. The biggest investors in Wall Street are not multinational corporations. They're everyday people, middle-class Americans. And they're in there on their own, using things like, Scottrade or Orange or something like that, one of those online brokerage houses, or they have 401ks through work. And those 401ks are invested heavily in stocks, or they have mutual funds, again, heavily invested in stocks on Wall Street, or they may have some of these college-based savings accounts that some states really tout and push. I know Massachusetts is one. And where do they put those investments? It's not in a savings account. They're invested in mutual funds in the stock market. So, go ahead and rein in Wall Street, and you will break the bank of your parents and grandparents. So I hope you do get jobs. Oh, wait. You can't get good paying jobs because you're also trying to break the backs of the so-called multinational corporations. Which, by the way, a lot of small and medium companies and mom and pop shops are in existence and are in business making money for those mom and pops because they cater to doing business with or for these multinational corporations. They're called support companies, by the way. You know, yeah, you have these small companies that go to, say, I don't know, Walmart to sell their products. Say, hey, Walmart, take my product, sell it. Walmart does. You have these small, like trucking firms. They do stuff for these multinational corporations, as you call it. You know, those multinational corporations go broke or get broken up. What happens to the mom and pop company or small or medium-sized business that caters to those types of companies? Yeah, they go out of business. But you idiots on the left, you can't think past your own selfish nose because it's all about you. There's no big picture. There's only a small sphere, you. That's it. It's selfishness. But let me tell you, if your plan succeeds, you better have a damn good paying job, because not only are you going to have to be paying for your kids, you're going to have to be paying for your parents and grandparents too, because you're going to break their banks. And if you think 60 or 70% in income tax is good for the rich, how about when it gets to be 80 or 90% for the middle class, which is you? Because that's what it's going to take at the least in order to pay for all this crap that you say you want. It just unbelievable. The ignorance. This economic ignorance really borders on sheer stupidity. And the reason why I've refrained from just calling it stupidity is because they are ignorant of the facts because they have never been taught. So a person cannot be stupid. A stupid person is somebody who knows the facts and still believes the wrong thing anyway. That's stupidity. You know, it's kind of like, stupidity is, let me put it this way in simple terms. Stupidity is hitting your thumbnail with a hammer and yelling and screaming, ow, that hurts. And then saying, well, maybe this time when I hit it, it won't hurt so bad. And you hit it again, and it hurts just as bad as the first time. And then you go back and you say, well, maybe it won't hurt now because it's already hurt so much. So you go and you hit it a third time. That's stupidity. Ignorance is you were never taught that hitting your thumb with a hammer was going to hurt. You didn't know because nobody taught you. But stupidity is knowing that it hurts, and you do it again and again and again. That's the difference. And these kids today are just woefully ignorant. But that ignorance borders on stupidity because they don't even stop. When you ask them pointed questions and to go just a tad bit deeper than the surface, their eyes glaze over. They get the doe-eyed look. Their jaws drop, and they just draw a complete blank because they have no clue to what's going on. Let's see, 336. You're live on the Rod Eccles Show. What you got?
Good morning, Rod.
Good morning. I know you're one happy person.
I'm very happy, man. I think that sent a big message last night. It was just so great when I was looking on TV and saw all those headlights. I thought that's not for anybody but probably Trump and Bernie Sanders.
It was a record-breaking turnout for both parties last night. And this follows on the heel of a record-breaking turnout in Iowa. Look, the people in this country, it looks like they are really ticked off with the establishment on both sides of the political aisle.
That's so true. If you one thing I do feel good about, though, I know there's a lot of colleges in those towns around New England, New Hampshire, and
yes.
And that's a lot of the Bernie movement right now up there. I don't think that's going to last very long nationwide. And I think even if Bernie gets the nomination, I think Trump's going to get the nomination for sure on our side. And I think his economic background is going to put us over the top. I think this country.
It's interesting you should mention the Sanders thing because everybody says that the socialism stuff won't play so well down south, but the problem is that maybe Bernie will falter a little bit in the South, but the rest of the country seems, from the polls that we're starting to see, has got this a toss-up for one when it should not be a toss-up. It should be Hillary Clinton's no matter what, but it is not. And I think there are a lot of different. See, I think what you got from Trump too is what Trump has played the honesty game. Now people can argue whether or not Trump has flip-flopped, more than flipping a coin in all the football games. But you got to understand that this guy, he comes across as being honest and sincere, and when he has changed his mind and position, he's explained those. And people believe him because he comes across as honest and sincere. People are voting for somebody that they believe is honest and sincere.
That's right. Go ahead.
So it doesn't, for Sanders, you may not like his politics, you may not like his policy, but the biggest problem that Hillary Clinton has right now is that they do not think that she is honest and sincere where they think that Bernie Sanders is. And you know what? Me sitting on the right side of the political aisle, I mean, I'm pretty far right. I look over at Bernie Sanders and I say, you know what? That guy is kind of honest. I don't agree with his politics at all, but he is sincere and honest about it.
Yes, that's the way a socialist leader. They're always honest until they take all your money, and then that's dishonest. That's the problem with Bernie Sanders. The regular taxpayer in this country will not allow Bernie Sanders to take their hard-earned money that they need to have a good life and give it to somebody else that don't deserve it. I mean, either you work for a living or you take from other people. And I'd like to think of this country as a working country. We've always been very productive in America, and these handouts, all that is just that lever that you used to see on these old westerns where they pulled and the stagecoach would stop all of a sudden and the tires would slide or the wheels would slide. That's what Bernie Sanders would do to this economy. We would just come to a grinding halt because we have given away everything we can possibly give. And it's time for somebody like Trump to build our economy up. And I just don't think Bernie Sanders could carry this country nationwide. And I think last night was evidence that Donald Trump can pull from so many different age groups. They said he wouldn't get much of the college educated vote, and he sure did last night.
Yes, he did. I think he pulled very well from what I've seen. He's pulled very well from all demographics.
And if you can't stand the P word every now and then, look at Joe Biden when he thought he was whispering to Obama. So we all have our rough edges, and all I can tell folks is if you want to edit Donald Trump, cover your ears, or don't replay what the news is putting out there, because it's more important than just a few slang words every now and then. It's about this country getting back on its feet again.
I don't understand this vitriol about saying certain words. I mean, you're not supposed to say certain words in polite society. I get that, but let me tell you something. I have worked in corporate America, both small mom and pop companies and large corporations, and what goes on behind closed doors in those boardrooms, in those sales meetings, even in the sales room on the sales floor. It is like a room full of sailors. Every place I've worked, it's just a room full of sailors. So this whole notion that polite people don't talk that way, frankly, is BS. I've even worked for a Christian company, a Christian believing owner, and you would not believe the vulgarity that comes. It's just the vernacular of the day. I'm sorry, it is.
And I think the American people are really aware of that now. I mean, we're past the point of. I think poor Ben Carson. I think that's a big part of what happened to Ben. Ben just so soft spoken, and the country's ready for somebody to project that strength. Rod, don't you think so? We want somebody that's going to project. Okay, Putin, I'll shake your hand, but you're going to put a stop to this incursion into Crimea, wherever, until we work out a deal. You're going to have to work out a deal.
Yeah. You need somebody who's look. This world, unfortunately, for all you pacifists that are listening, and for all of you liberals that think that we need to be isolationist again, it's not going to. Or Rand Paul supporters, that's not going to happen. This world is currently and always has been governed by the aggressive use of force. It's not going to change. When you have one country that thinks that they can do things in a peaceful manner and be pacifist, history has shown they've always been overrun. It's not this pacifist notion, this trying to be accepting of everyone, trying to be multicultural, and depict everyone else who's anti-multicultural as racist. This is not the first time in human history that this sort of BS that the liberals are pushing forth has come across a nation. It's happened all throughout history. It happened in the ancient Roman Empire when they started saying, well, we need to include more people from the outside. Well, they infiltrated the inside, and then you had a bunch of infighting with the political process in ancient Rome, and Rome killed itself from the inside and weakened itself so much that they weren't able to defend their borders.
That's exactly right.
Do we see something similar going on now?
That's exactly right. And this is a big thing. I know a lot of people, like to joke about it and whatever, but getting that wall up on our southern border is so important to our national defense. And I think a lot of people are feeling that. They're saying, this can be done, and we can bring our economy back just by the simple fact of getting a lot of folks out of here that don't belong, and in the right kind of way. If they deserve to come back in the country, and they're not terrorists for sure, but if they deserve to come back in the country and
here's
the right way.
I keep hearing people say that we can't build a wall. See, here's the thing. The walls like that, walls and fences like that have been built all over the Middle East and in Europe. They're still building them because they work. They can be built, and they work. Just look at Saudi Arabia spending billions of dollars building a wall on their border with Iraq. And it's a high-tech wall that's good. No, it's not going to be 100% effective, but let me tell you, it is going to slow down anybody who's trying to cross into Saudi Arabia illegally. They're going to be able to stop them. You've got the walls between Israel and Palestine and Egypt that work extremely well. Is it 100% effective? No, you got to do other things on top of that. And see, my thing is that here is the thing that you do. If you want to prevent illegals from coming in here and squatting on our property, you make it very uncomfortable for them to be here. In other words, you start really punishing companies that knowingly hire illegal immigrants. You make it so they cannot live. You start punishing landlords who rent to illegal immigrants. If you make it nearly impossible for them to actually make a living here, they will go home and not come across. Now, the people who will come across freely are those who intend to do you harm. That's who the wall is intended to keep out.
Okay, that's a slam dunk, Rod. That's a slam dunk right there. That's the whole thing in a nutshell. If you're I don't know, especially if you live along that southern border. I mean, how scary is that to know that you don't really know who's coming across and traveling across your city? I mean, it's just. I'm just glad we got a strong candidate I think Trump is going to be our strong. I think the defense of this country is keeping Americans safe. To me, is a priority. Yeah. And I'd like to think millions of people feel that way too.
I think a lot of Americans are starting to feel that pinch, and they're starting to understand that we cannot keep going down this same road that we're going. I just hope that come November that there's enough of them that act like adults and realize that, that you can't keep putting your hand in the cookie jar because eventually you're going to run out of cookies.
That's right. And one thing about it, go ahead.
Right now, what we have is a bunch of people, mostly younger people, who are sticking their hands in the cookie jar and thinking that the cookies are going to last forever.
And we know that don't happen. And I'll tell you something else, that ISIS is not waiting on us to do anything. They're in motion right now. And it is so important that the young folks, again, that the young folks really get educated in the right way and understand what's going on in the world, and not just the fun of the socialist movement. I guess maybe that's fun to some younger people, but if you look at the world and what's going on right now, it's time to get serious.
Yes. It's time to grow up.
Right.
I'm sorry. We've got a generation now that still they're hitting 30, and they still act like they're 12. Literally.
Thank you.
They still
That's right.
Sit around at mom and dad's house, or I'm sorry, nowadays, and for many of them, they're sitting around mom's house because mom and dad have split. They're sitting around mom's house playing video games.
And that's right. And when they go out to get a job, because McDonald's isn't paying $15 an hour, it's not worthy of their time to put forth the effort like we've all done in our youth. We went out and worked, no matter if it was sweeping the floor or whatever we had to start with. But now they think they can just go out to McDonald's or Burger King or whatever, and they're going to pay you $15 an hour. That job wasn't created to support a family. That job was created in part to help folks get through college, to help high school students that just come out to make a paycheck until they get through part of their college or whatever. But it wasn't made to support a 5-member family.
Look, there are so many ways that these kids can actually go out and earn money. I mean, and earn a decent, if they're single, a decent living. Now, are they going to get rich off of it? Well, these kids have absolutely no economic sense whatsoever. No, they're not going to get rich. Look, I remember I can't even remember the title of it, from the 80s. It was a very good book, and it was written by a pilot, an airline pilot. And he, the basis of the book was how to get rich on your paycheck. But it was all about managing your money, investing it wisely, obviously investing it in what? The stock market, which they hate, okay, and looking towards planning for the future, but without getting into huge amounts of debt. That was it was a number one seller back in the 80s, and I go through, I constantly look at business publications, and what I'm seeing now for business publications being in the top 10 and top 20 and top 50 is all about social media. There's very little about personal responsibility, personal finance. It's all turned into this. Well, how to. The veil is grow your company on social media, but that's the veil. The reality is trying to teach people. Well, how do you get famous on social media? And this is all we get from these kids today. I've got 50,000 followers on Instagram. Really? Well, have you monetized that followership?
Right.
Well, no.
That's exactly right.
Hello, you're an idiot then. Why would you do that? Just so you could be a celebrity in your own mind?
Money for nothing.
I digress. I'm sorry, but this is the kind of stuff that just gets me with certain generations in this country today, and the millennials are the biggest problem that we have. And I got to tell you, I fear for our country after we are gone. because they're going to be left, and they are going to have such a rude awakening that I don't know what's going to happen to people that are going to be my grandkids' age or your grandkids' age or great grandchildren. This is serious stuff.
Well, we have to break up this monopoly of liberalism in our high schools and colleges as far as our teachers and instructors. If our children go through that program, that liberal program from now until 20 years from now.
Hold on for a second. I'm sorry. I wasn't even looking at the clock, but if you'll do me a favor and just and hold on until after this much-needed break, I would appreciate it. But we're past the hard break here. But we'll be right back, folks.
Give a man a fish and you feed him for a day. Sign him up for the Box of Bait Club and he'll never be hungry again. The Box of Bait Club is a brand new dream come true for every fisherman. Something new and different in your tackle box every month. Every month, another excuse to get outside and do what you love. Don't let this one get away. The Box of Bait Club is currently accepting a limited number of pre-orders with subscriptions starting at $39.95 per month. Find out more now. Log on to boxofbaitclub.com.
I'm just so happy my father had a chance to see his kids before he passed. I just want to say thank you.
When her father fell ill, the American Red Cross was able to help get Veronica's brother home from the Navy to speak to his father one last time. It's thanks to your donations that we can connect military families when they need it most. Please donate today at redcross.org.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. And then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-616-8010. That's 1-800-616-8010. Again, 1-800-616-8010. Call now.
Are you tired of commuting to a job that makes someone else rich? Working harder than ever, but getting nowhere? Do you hate spending hundreds of dollars every week on daycare? Having someone else raise your children? With our opportunities, you can start earning money as soon as next week. You get to be the boss, work from home, and live a happier life. At Be the Boss Network, you'll find hundreds of work-from-home opportunities that you can literally start today and be earning money as soon as next week. Go to freedom133.com and start earning money as soon as next week. You get to be the boss. Get out of the rat race. Work from home. Go to freedom133.com right now and change your life today. That's freedom133.com. Go to freedom133.com and start earning money as soon as next week. You be the boss. Go to freedom133.com.
Attention business owners. We know that owning a business means getting things done right now. So if your right now list includes a new building, call the Right Now Company. General Steel. We can design a building for your business quickly and save you thousands of dollars. That's right, thousands. You may think General Steel only builds large projects or that you can't afford General Steel quality. Well, check these prices. How about a 40 by 60 foot building for under $22,000? Or even a 50 by 100 for under $35,000? That's right, a 5,000 square foot building for under $35,000. And these buildings all have General Steel quality. Best of all, you can still order a building and have it delivered in time to build this year. How's that for right now? So if your right now list includes a new building, call the Right Now Company, General Steel.
800-393-5756. 800-393-5756. 800-393-5756. That's 800-393-5756.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
Boy, man, I had a rough night's sleep. Boy, I got a letter from the IRS yesterday, and I just couldn't sleep. Man, I'm dying here. Somebody help me.
IRS problems affect more than just your finances. If you're ready to take back control of your life and you owe more than $10,000, you need to call the Tax Doctor. Their expert staff can immediately protect you from the IRS and state collectors and get you the best possible tax settlement guaranteed. The IRS has recently released new programs geared in helping struggling taxpayers, where you may qualify to settle your tax debt and wipe out up to 85% or more of what you currently owe. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes, call the Tax Doctor right now. See if you qualify to pay less. 800-989-1694. 800-989-1694. 800-989-1694. Again, 800-989-1694.
Zinc Media. Feel the power of knowledge.
Morning once again to all of you wonderful liberty lovers all across the globe, as well as you wonderful ecclesiastites. I'm glad that you are here. It is I, your lovable host, Elrod, coming to you live once again from my bunkerized home studio somewhere within the great granite state of New Hampshire. The call-in number here is 603-835-3224, and last night, or yesterday, the entire day, pretty much the Granite State once again proved to be to live up to their motto, live free or die, not big government or bust. Well, half of us did anyway. The other half seemed to want the big government type of thing by voting for Bernie Sanders on the Democratic side. I mean, Sanders, it's 60 to 38%. He crushed Hillary. And many of the polls were fairly accurate on that. I mean, you're talking 20-plus point spread there, which is unheard of, especially for somebody who's supposed to be said to be definitely the next president of the United States and definitely going to be the next nominee for the Democrats and Hillary Clinton. This woman is just being dogged left and right by her email server. Now, understand this about Hillary. If it was just her email scandal, this would be nothing but a bump in the road for her. But this is a continuation of who she really is, going back to her days as First Lady of Arkansas. People are seeing this pattern. As much as the liberal media, the mainstream media, wants to try to hide or downplay a lot of that stuff, we get people that are coming out of the woodwork, left and right, that dislike this woman. People that work directly with her. maybe not necessarily for her, but directly with her, that cannot stand her. White House, when she was the first lady, you've got White House staffers left and right who absolutely love Bill for whatever reason, coming out and saying, oh, she was a biddy. We couldn't stand Hillary. When Hillary came, people left the room. And that continued into the State Department, as a senator, actually, and into the State Department when she became Secretary of State. There are people that, to this day, that worked for her in the State Department that just cannot stand her. And that is because of her lies, or her manipulations, her ability to somehow go along with her husband, break the law, and get away with it. And now all of her chickens are coming home to roost, to quote a famous pastor. So it is. It's just one of these interesting things that you got to look and say that, okay, people are finding now. First of all, people believe Bernie Sanders to be honest. I do believe Bernie Sanders to be honest, and let me preface that by saying on the surface, because Bernie Sanders actually isn't very honest when you start looking below the surface. Bernie Sanders is telling everybody a lie about socialism by omitting the facts about what it's really going to take for him to achieve his socialistic utopia. They all believe that only the rich are even when they put out his economic plan or his tax plan, people always point to the one that was released first. That, yeah, all these wonderful rich people are going to get hit by taxes, but he does not show them and does not tout the complete tax plan where everybody's taxes, even those who make less than $18,000 a year under Bernie Sanders, everyone's income taxes goes through the roof. That's a lie by omission. That's still a lie. But everybody believes that on the surface that Bernie Sanders is an honest and straightforward guy. And he is. He is on the surface. I mean, he tells you straight up, I'm a socialist. No, and he's always been that way. Even when he was mayor of Burlington back in the 80s, Burlington, Vermont, he was always a socialist then, because everybody talked about, if you go back and look at the media under Reagan, everybody talked about this crazy mayor from Burlington, Vermont, who was a socialist. He's always been honest about that. And that's what people seem to gravitate to on the left. But he's still lying to them by omission. I want to bring back in on our caller here, 336, who's very happy that Donald Trump trounced the competition yesterday here in New Hampshire. But
I'm trying not to laugh, but it's hard.
Well, to the victor go the spoils, right? So you get to laugh about this one. What do you think about Cruz doing the spin that they accused Donald Trump of doing in Iowa, but he's doing it here, but basing it on, Ted Cruz only spent, $580,000 in New Hampshire, and he still came in third place. That's a win because Jeb Bush, spent $36 million and came in fourth and got fewer votes than Cruz, and Donald Trump still spent $3.5 million in New Hampshire. But it's a win for Cruz too because he only spent $580,000 and he still got his message out and came in third.
Well, I could tell Cruz the same thing that Donald Trump was told by Cruz and by some of his supporters. Cruz didn't have a good enough ground game in New Hampshire, and that's on him. I mean, that's on him. And Trump, by having those big rallies, how in the world could Donald Trump go door to door in some of these smaller towns anyway, as far as the crowds that would be behind him trying to see him? It's just not practical in some areas for him to do that. But Cruz has no excuse. There's no excuse, and he really sunk a lot with the whole Ben Carson thing. No matter who did what, that was a big problem. Same with Rubio. Sometimes if you stick your foot out there too far, you're going to step in a trap, and they both did that to themselves. I mean, Trump was up on the stage during that last debate and pretty much let those guys just eat each other. And I don't know, it didn't do Christie any good, but it sure hurt Rubio. And
that was their goal to hurt Rubio, but I think that they made a tactical error by going after Rubio. Yeah, sure, Rubio may have. It seemed like he had some momentum coming out of Iowa, but he was the wrong candidate because the polls told everybody that even though Rubio had some momentum, that there were two other people that they really should have been paying attention to. And of course, one of those people, I didn't believe it, but then I realized after the results came in and I started listening to people, Kasich had a huge ground. Kasich even went to the small town of Dixville Notch personally. Now, he won up there. I mean, this guy had a ground game here. I did not see that kind of support because it was quiet support because he was on the ground doing that kind of thing. They should have been going after Kasich and Trump, who was the obvious front runner. Why would you go after the person who seemed to be who may have come in third, most likely would have been fourth? Why would you waste your time on that? That didn't make any sense to me.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I don't get it. But one of the things that I know about the ground game around here is that Sanders had a huge ground game, and that's probably because New England and New Hampshire is such a college-centered college-centered state. I mean, we got colleges all over the place. We even got Dartmouth, So there's a lot of college labor, if you will, that can get out there and work the. I mean, look, I had people come to my door for Sanders 3 different times in the past 2 weeks.
Wow.
And they were 3 people at a time. I had 9 different kids come to my door. Well,
wow.
8 kids. One time in the group of 3, there was an older gentleman. I'm going to say older. He was probably in his late 30s, early 40s, so he wasn't a college kid. Well, who knows? Maybe he was in college, but he wasn't a college kid.
Practical, yeah.
But 8 college kids coming to my door 3 different times in 2 weeks for Sanders. So there was a huge movement, ground game for Sanders. And evidently because Kasich came in second, and knowing where he went in all the town hall meetings that he had and all the handshaking that he did, actually himself doing door-to-door, he also had a decent ground game, which paid off for him. But Trump, on the other hand, Trump being the billionaire that he is and understanding that sometimes you have to be efficient, and the efficient part of business is having these massive rallies. Volume. And that paid off big time. And the rest of the field, except for maybe Kasich, did not understand that. They missed the boat on that.
And I think that speaks to what's going to happen on down the road, Rod. I think Trump will work on the ground some, I'm sure, but he's drawing these massive, large crowds at his rallies, and I don't see anybody else being able to do that.
Well, I think one of the things that they also felt is that would those people at those massive rallies actually turn out to vote? Now, I hope that has put that question to rest.
Yes, I believe he has, and that's Hillary's problem right now too. She was drawing maybe 200 or 300 folks from these little gyms and whatnot, so she's doing it the way a lot of the Republican candidates are doing it against Trump. But Bernie was drawing these big rallies. Remember, he's drawing 30,000 people, 20,000 people. He ate her alive in volume, and that in this political era we're living in, that's what it's all about right now.
Now let me preface something, because I've been yesterday I was getting hit on Twitter a lot for this stuff, and I don't know where this comes from. I mean, if I say something positive about Trump, I get the Cruz and even now some Rubio people accusing me of being a Trumpster. And if I say something positive about Cruz, I'm getting hit by Trump people for being a Cruz supporter. And then if I say that I don't openly support either one of the candidates, I'm getting hit by some people that say I am a P word, I'm a pussy, for not taking a stand and supporting somebody. No matter how I go, I can't win. I'm
offended you said that. I just want you to know I'm offended you said that. Anyway, go ahead.
So I have to say that I am not a Trumpster. I'm not a Cruiser. I'm not a Rubiite or whatever they call them. I'm not coming across as being supportive of anybody on the air. That's not my job. My job is just to get the information out and make sure that people have the actual facts. And I'm telling you, the facts are that Trump has got it going on.
There you go. There you go. Well, see, you have to be an official on the radio. You have to call this game as it's being played. You can't, if you're an official, you can't go out there and say, this is the play you need to run. And that's what our job is as supporters. We need to call in and try to get our crew on down the field toward the touchdown. And as a radio host, man, I like I said the other day, I really appreciate the fact that we can call in. Everybody's equal. Everybody can call in equally, and I just, I'm grateful.
Yeah, I wish more people would from the other candidates would look. Again, I'm listening to, over the past week or so, I've been listening to all kinds of different talk show hosts from ultra-conservative people would be considered ultra-conservative to the moderate Republican to even some Democrats. And let me tell you something. There are two people whose supporters are calling in droves, and that's Trump supporters and that's Sanders supporters. The other guy's supporters seem to be silent. I can't figure out why.
There's not enough gas in the engine for these other politicians. I mean, there's not enough gas in the engine. They're not going to be able to go from the East Coast to the West Coast and get and garner all the support that Trump is doing. There's just no way. Cruz, Rubio, whoever. When you, like down in Florida, if you're struggling to have any momentum in your own state, you're in trouble. I mean, you are in trouble.
Yeah, and I got to tell you, it's not just talk shows where the support is being shown. If you look at social media, you would think that there are currently only two people running, Sanders and Trump. It's the Trump-Sanders show. That's what it is. My observation is, people, that's exactly what's happening right now. And you other people who support other candidates, it is your own fault that this has gotten this way. If you think that Trump is the wrong person, well, it's your fault, because these people are just flooding the airways and flooding the social media, and this is the message that everybody is seeing. And this is how they're garnering even more and more support, because they don't see the message from the other candidates, not even Hillary. And let's face it, the only thing that Hillary's got is a bunch of negative press right now.
That's right.
I mean, in order to combat negative, for every piece of negative press that you get, you've got to combat it with at least 3 to 5 pieces of positive press. She's not even getting one-to-one right now. So that's bad for her.
And she's looking, and I hate to say it, I don't mean this in a real mean-spirited way, but she's looking extremely tired. And I mean, this is early on to be looking so tired and haggard. I mean, that you need to be, when I see Trump up there, man, I'm seeing, okay, this guy's 69 years old, whatever. He looks like he's got enough energy to run through the stadium and back. And I mean, that's what it's going to take. This country needs an engine like that. We need to get this motor cranked up and going. And Hillary is just a flat tire right now.
Yeah, that's one way to put it. She is looking a little haggard, and I watched her concession speech last night, and it's not because I dislike the woman, because I do, but it was just hard to listen to her shrill voice. It was really hard to listen to her.
Oh, I know.
People talk about Rubio being a robot. I listened to the Sanders victory speech last night. Now, that guy sounded like he was a computer voice. He was reading his speech, but he was reading it so poorly, it sounded like he was a robot. Literally.
Right. That's right. But Hillary, when you contrast Hillary, though, she sounds like the old fingernails down the chalkboard. It's like, oh man, I have got to turn the volume down. Why did I even stop at this channel?
I would, but look, I do this all the time. I say I'm going to take the arrows. I'm going to take the bullets for my listeners, so they don't have to go through this. And I got 60 seconds into her. I don't know how long it lasted, but I got 60 seconds into it, and I was just saying, when are you going to be done? You're still talking. When are you going to be done? Oh my God. Okay, you just said something real stupid again and again. When are you going to be done? And then finally, when she was done, It was. Remember when Bill Clinton first gave his national speech when he first came aboard nationally, and he said in conclusion, and everybody in the Democratic hall, they all cheered. That's how I felt. Another Clinton did it. He got me to the point saying, "Oh, thank God she's over." I mean, it
right. That's right.
It was that hard. It was that hard to sit through. I can only imagine. I don't know. And the same thing with Sanders. Sanders was just so robotic. And I was just saying, people, please stop cheering after every other sentence so he can get done.
Right. And I'm going to say one more thing, Rod, and then I'm going to get off. Our educational system, if we don't get some kind of equality in the teachers that we have right now, if we don't get the same amount of Republicans as we do Democrats or liberals in our educational system, if we don't balance that out, we're going to be in big trouble. So we need to start right now, and we need to get some stats, and we need to find out how many liberals are actually teaching in our schools and how many are not, because our educational system is ranked 30th in the world, and that is absolutely pitiful. And I bet if you look back at it, I bet you'll see it's because of these social issues that they're promoting in our high schools and colleges and not getting their.
It is. No other country is doing what we're doing. No other country is teaching what we're teaching in our schools. They're not doing it. They're concentrating on the 3 R's. Yesterday, when I was on Radio Row, we actually interviewed the chairman of the New Hampshire State Board of Education, who also happens to be the CEO of Delta Dental in New Hampshire. Now, here this guy. I thought this guy was going to be a chairman of a major insurance company, Delta Dental. I thought he was going to be rather conservative on education. This guy actually came out in support of Common Core. Now, you want to talk about a guy who's sitting there shocked? That was me.
Oh yeah, I can understand that.
When he said he was in favor of Common Core, and I just looked at him and said, well, Chairman, what about just going back to the old-fashioned notion of teaching the 3 R's?
Sorry.
Just teaching the 3 R's. I don't understand why we have to go through all this fancy, experimentation. None of this stuff is working. And one of my co-hosts, he asked the question, well, it would be interesting to find out, Mr. Chairman, if, teachers, the demographics of the teachers who are supporting Common Core. Is it the older teachers? Is it because my sister? She's considered one of the older teachers because she's in her mid-40s. Her and her colleagues, and I hear her talk about it all the time. They can't stand Common Core. But now, so he was asking the question of well, what are the demographics of support? Is it the older teachers? Is it the younger teachers? And he said, well, there seems to be a support among all the groups of teachers, but definitely among the younger ones. Now, when you talk about younger ones, you're talking about millennials, under 30, under 35. These are the idiots that were taught by the Common Core pushers in our colleges today. Of course they're going to like it because it's the only thing they know. But it's not working.
So this is, to me, this problem with the education system right now, as far as the liberal part of it, we have to get a balance there, and I think that's what we're going to have to get a balance so we can change this mind thought of, okay, give me what I need, I don't have to work for it. We need to get that mindset out of our young folks and retrain on how to work. And how to do things for yourself, and not expect somebody to give you everything every time you turn around.
Well, we're going to need people that understand that in positions of leadership and positions, I hate to use the word, but positions of power that change that type of mindset. But again, we have a lot of people, old and young, not just going to say it's just millennials, that are in it for themselves. Everybody else be damned. They're in it for themselves. Now, frankly, I think the millennials have picked up on that. And I'm approaching a break, my friend. It's always good to talk to you. I'm sure we will be talking again.
All right, Rod. Have a good one, man.
You too. Bye-bye. we have these people that constantly think about, let's face it, you millennials, you talk about other people being selfish. You're pointing the finger at somebody else being selfish. There's that old idiom, you got one finger pointing at me, but three fingers pointing back at you. You need to look at yourself and say, well, geez, I guess I'm the really selfish one because I want everybody else to pay for me. And your selfishness is going to destroy this nation.
Your credit score is a joke, and you're too embarrassed to let anyone know your 3-digit score. Sucks to be you, but it doesn't have to. Delete all those unsightly derogatory items, collections, charge-offs, repossessions, judgments, tax liens, bankruptcies, and foreclosures. To turbo boost your credit scores, call 888-541-5571 or visit us at 700creditnow.com. You've heard the old adage, cash is king. But in some cases, credit can be just as powerful as cash. Not many people have $200,000 to put down on a house, or $50,000 to put down on a car, or $25,000 to put down in a business. But look around and you'll find that millions of Americans do have homes and cars all purchased with little to no money down. To turbo boost your credit scores, call 888-541-5571. Again, that's 888-541-5571 or visit us at www.700creditnow.com.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. And then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-616-8010. That's 1-800-616-8010. Again, 1-800-616-8010. Call now.
Did you ever look at the stains in your coffee cup and then realize that's exactly what happens to your teeth? Power Swabs is the 5-minute solution to get your teeth white without visiting the dentist. This is Ben Gordon with Power Swabs, and if your teeth are stained from coffee, tea, or smoking, all it takes is 5 minutes with Power Swabs. In 5 minutes, you'll see an average of 2 shades whiter teeth, and in 7 days, 6 shades. It's clinically proven to whiten natural teeth as well as caps and veneers. The secret is a tooth detergent that was developed by Dr. Martin Ginniger that lifts stains off of your teeth. Best of all, there's no messy strips or trays that you have to leave in your mouth for an hour. Just swab your teeth for 5 minutes and you're done. To try Power Swabs risk-free, call 1-800-291-5140. That's 1-800-291-5140. I guarantee your bright white smile will have your friends talking about how great you look. Try it risk-free today. 1-800-291-5140. That's 1-800-291-5140.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
When you're ready to take the edge off a hectic day, I suggest you start with a little music from Franz Black.
I guess there's lots of ways to look at things that don't seem right.
No Worries has just been released on iTunes and Amazon.
It's gonna be alright.
You can find Friends Black and his music on his website, friendsblack.com. F-R-A-N-Z black.com.
It's gonna be alright.
Bring the rain.
603-835-3224 is the number to call and be on the air live here with your lovable host, Rod. And I will take your call and we will talk about the results from last night or yesterday's primary here in New Hampshire. It was a barn burner type of event, as they like to say. I think that's a New England term, barn burner. I'm not sure. You know, you ever wonder where some of these things come from? I never thought of barn burning as being a good time. I always thought of barn burning as being something that was a little bit frantic and hectic and frightening and devastating. Well, maybe that's what it originally meant. Barn burner was something that was devastating, not something that was good for you or a good time. But you never know. Maybe it was started by the KKK. You know, when they burned out blacks back in colored folk, Negroes. So I think that was a term that they used back then. That's how we got the other word, N-word, is from Negro. And you know that black is actually Negro is a derivative from the Latin, and I can't remember that. I didn't take Latin in school, so I can't exactly remember the little Latin that I remembered. But the Negro is black, and there are a lot of European languages that have that either use the word Negro or derivative of Negro for the color black, which is why that's how blacks back in the day got the term Negro, because they were black. And to some extent, and this is one of the things that I've always tried to point out about African Americans. And you know, we termed ourselves for a long time here in this country black, but we're not. Now, I'm just going to go by ethnic looks and skin color. Now, most Africans are really black. I mean, they have different shades too, but they're darker shades. And you have some people over in Africa that literally are black skin. I mean, they're dark. And so that's where the term black people came from. But so I can understand that. I'm still confused about and I can see where they call Asians, you know, yellow. The yellow man, yellow skin. Certain Asians groups, they tend to have this yellow tannish tint to their skin, so thus yellow man. I still don't get the point of red man though for Indians. I don't see the red. I mean, hell, you see some white people that that are more red faced than the Indians were. I don't understand where they got red man for. I'm still trying to figure that out. Because I just don't see the red in them. I don't. I do see a lot of what you might call Asian influence in Native Americans. Especially when it comes to the eyes. There's a lot of Asian influence, and when you get to certain groups south of the border, oftentimes you got people that come from Central America. Like Mexican, Guatemalan, Ecuadorian, a lot of times they look like they very well could be Asian, like Korean or not Chinese or something, but they're not. Because there's a lot of that Asian. Well, let's face it. They tell us that Native Americans migrated from Asia over the land bridge, over into Alaska and down until they reached the southern tip of South America. So there's a lot of that influence if they're derived from those people over in Asia, from that group of people. That would make sense that there would be a large influence of Asian looking. I give you an example. According to the movie star, what's his name? He was in the sparkly vampire movie. Oh my goodness, I don't follow these people all that much. He was the werewolf. What was it? Team Jacob or something? Team Edward? I don't know. Team Edward. Team whoever. You know who I'm talking about. If you are, if you're a Twilight fan, you know who I'm talking about. Now, I thought that kid was of Asian descent, but he says no. He's of Native American descent. So I got a little fooled there. A lot of people do. So again, there's the Asian influence there. So it is what it is. Learning about human history is fascinating. But understand this. It just goes to show and prove that we're all connected. We're intertwined. We're all human. In that we come from somewhere. We actually, and let's face it, you're talking from the evolutionary sense or you're talking the biblical sense, we're all, unless we are still in that North African or Middle Eastern area, we're all immigrants. We come from people that migrated all over the planet from that central location. So I don't want to hear this notion that, Europeans were illegal immigrants when they came. Well, you know what? So were the Native Americans. They just didn't pop up here thousands of years ago. They had to walk and immigrate here. So and that goes for everybody in Europe and Asia too. Your ancestors had to walk there and immigrate there. Well, I know if you're one of those tinfoil hat-wearing people, then you could possibly say, well, oh no, Rod, the aliens came up and they planted us all over the place, man. They took us up in their flying machines or spaceships and they landed us here and here. And they did little experiments to make us look different. That's why we look different. Yeah, I've actually heard that. It was the reason why humans look the way they look isn't because of environmental and lack of gene pool mixing. It was due to alien gene manipulation that gives us all our different looks. I know. I don't want to go the George Noory route, but there are people out there that believe that, which gives rise to why some people think that they're superior humans to other humans, because they think, well, hey, the aliens, I guess, they gave us a superior manipulation in our genes, and you guys got the inferior manipulations in your genes. Other than that, there is no other way to describe or support the theory that there are some people who are better than other people. And I've always said nobody's better than anybody else. We all have the same DNA. We're all human. We all have the same brain. However, that's where the difference ends, because many of us, especially liberals, don't use that brain. Just saying. Many individuals do not use their brain. And that's one of the things that really gets my goat, is when people do not think. It's called, it doesn't even, I don't even know why we call it critical thinking, because it doesn't take It's not a critical thing to think. All you got to do is just take a little bit of time just to actually think. Think past your own desires for a second. Look, this whole Sanders movement, as I mentioned earlier, this whole Sanders movement is all about selfishness. Now, they use and try to cloak this in this sort of, well, let's be fair. It's not, that's all I heard from Bernie Sanders last night was this isn't fair, or this is going to be fair, or nothing but fairness. Who's to determine what is fair? It is fair for you to take somebody else's work and then spread it around to people who don't. That's fair? Let me give you an example. First of all, in this country, I know we have corporations and, national and multinational corporations, but the vast majority of Americans, the biggest employer in this country, other than the government, is not multinational corporations. It's small and mid-sized businesses. Now, in this day and age, yeah, a small and mid-sized business can be international because of, computers and all that kind of stuff, technology. But for the most part, they're not. They're not on the same level as these so-called multinational corporations. But our biggest employer pool is not corporations. It's small and mid-sized business. And your so-called fairness doctrine is going to hurt those people the most. How is that fair? I've used this analogy before. Let's just take technology-centered young people today. You have a 25-year-old who's very tech-savvy. He makes an app. I don't care what the app is about. He just makes an app. He spends hours upon hours upon hours, probably weeks or months, developing this app and making a very strong and good app. And then he releases that application, that app, and he only charges $1, 99 cents per person to buy the app. Now, the app is so good that he doesn't just get 1 million people to buy it. He gets 10 million people to buy it and willingly give him one of their hard-earned dollars. So do the math. 10 million people buying the app at $1. The guy's just made $10 million. Now he's an evil rich person. He somehow stole and manipulated all that money. 10 million people willingly gave him $1 each for the app that he spent hours and hours and hours on developing. So he made $10 million. And now you're going to tell him, well, you don't deserve to keep $10 million because that's not fair. So under the Sanders plan, I'm going to tax you 85%. You're going to lose $8.5 million to the government because that's fair. Now I ask you, how is that fair? Well, maybe, Rod, then he should have just given it away for free. Okay. Then how is he supposed to buy a car, rent or buy a house, pay for his groceries, keep his electricity on, keep his lights on? How is he supposed to pay for all those computers that he needs in order to develop the app? How is he going to pay for all that stuff if he gives everything away for free? Well, after a certain point, he should give it away for free. Oh, so he should, I don't know, stop selling it after, 1 million people buy it then? So how is it fair for the people who paid for it and then give it away for nothing after the first million buy it? How is that fair? It's fair only in the minds of the person who wants something from that other person without working for it. And that, folks, is highly unfair. It is due to selfishness because you're jealous. It is due to selfishness and jealousy because you're jealous of this kid, this guy, this 25-year-old who developed something that a lot of people like and want to pay for. Nobody is twisting anybody's arm to buy that app. Well, that app is so useful. Yeah, but you know what? You lived an entire lifetime before that app was developed. You can live an entire lifetime after the app is developed without the app. Nobody's twisting your arm to give your dollar to this guy. So if I am willing to spend my money, give it to somebody else, why is that person a bad person who I give my money to? I willingly give my money to a lot of different companies. But Rod, you need it. No, I don't necessarily need all this stuff. I want it, which is why I buy it. I don't need it. I don't need to go to Walmart. Well, I rarely do, but you get the point. I don't need to buy anything in Walmart. And neither do millions upon millions of their customers. They don't need to go to Walmart. Well, they need stuff, right? To live. They don't have to buy it at Walmart. There is nothing wrong with free enterprise. You offer a product or service that other people willingly want to give you their hard-earned money for. That's all it is. That's fairness. If you don't like the price they're charging, you don't buy it. But Rod, I need a car. I need a car. Maybe you do. But do you need to buy a BMW? Or would a little Yaris do you? Is it just transportation that you're looking for? You know, you can spend 35, 40 grand on a car, or you can spend 12, 13 grand on a car. But let me ask you, even in today's society, how is it that people got along without cars? How do we get along before the car was invented? Rod, we can't ride horses down the throughway or the freeway anymore. They won't allow us. Okay, so don't take the freeway. But it's the fastest way to get around. Then you got to play by the rules. The rules are you got to have an automobile to go down the freeway. If you want to take a horse, take the back roads. It might take you longer, but you still get there. Or walk or bike. You don't need a car. Well, I need a car to get to work. Find a job where you don't have to commute. A lot of people earn their living by telecommuting or working online. You know, it's called working from your home. People have done that for centuries. All this so-called fairness is nothing more than a veil to cover up their selfishness. Rod, everybody should have health care. Really? Now, I'm going to sound extremely cruel and uncaring, but here's the actual facts about that. On one hand, you're complaining about the cost of college education. And just about everyone has to take out loans or get grants in order to go to medical school. Medical school is very expensive. So when they get out of school, now you've got these nurses, you got doctors and medical researchers and all that kind of stuff. They have a mountain of debt because they spent a lot of time in study and in classrooms learning about medicine. And so now that they've spent all that time You want them to not be properly compensated simply because you want free medical care. So you claim it's fair to you, but not justly compensating somebody else for their time, their efforts, their study, their expertise. That's being unfair to them. And the only reason it's fair to you to do that and say that is because you're selfish. And you want something for nothing or near nothing. But when it comes to, all you wonderful people out there, especially on the left who are supporting Sanders, who think about all this fairness, why don't you ask yourself this? You think you're worth $70, $80, $90, $100,000 a year. Really? You don't think somebody else is worth that because you don't want them to get paid that. A little bit jealous there? A little bit of jealousy? I know some of you are saying, well, Rod, it's not that simplistic. Yeah, it actually is that simplistic. This so-called fairness doctrine is not fair because it is born out of jealousy and selfishness. You are jealous of somebody else's success because you haven't achieved the same thing. Forget the fact that it may have taken them decades to get there. You want to jump the line and be there with them. And since you can't find a method of doing that, you want to be angry at them and accuse them of rigging the system. And you think that that's unfair. How is the system rigged? In a free market, how is the system rigged? Even back in the day with the original industrialists, when they had monopolies, and a lot of those monopolies were put in place by government, by the way. When the American people had the ability to decide and choose who they wanted to use for almost everything. Well, if you don't have competition, Rod, well, you're not talking about increasing competition. You're talking about eliminating competition and putting the government in charge of everything. So, if government is run by people who can be greedy, people who can be mean, nasty, evil, all those other acronyms, and if you put those same people in charge of private companies, they're evil. But all of a sudden, that same mentality, that same person moves over to government, and he's fair? How is that possible? Are you telling me that only government is fair? Well, I would just like to show you and open up the entire world to you and show you the multitude of the population of this planet that would highly disagree with you. Life is not fair. Nobody ever said it was. There isn't a single religion that says life is fair. And when I say religion, I also mean secularism and humanism. None of them say it's fair. I mean, after all, is it fair that you're born in the United States and somebody else isn't? Well, I know that you don't think it is, which is why you want open borders. But on the other hand, is it fair that you don't get to live in, say, France? I don't hear you say that's not fair. Is it fair that you don't get to live in Russia? I don't hear you say that's not fair. But whenever somebody says, well, this person can't come to the United States, well, that's not fair. Really? Why? It's due to jealousy and selfishness. And then you try to cover it up with guilt. That's what Sanders and people like him, that's how they operate. Is they come to the part of you that is selfish and jealous. And they tweak you on those two emotions. And they get you all riled up until you say, yeah, that's the way it should be, man. That's the way it should be. Because that's the only fair way to go, Rod. We got to tax all these other people because they're not fair, man. They're not fair. And it's fair for them to pay for me. Why? Because I'm fairly selfish. And that's fair.
Give a man a fish and you feed him for a day. Sign him up for the Box of Bait Club and he'll never be hungry again. The Box of Bait Club is a brand new dream come true for every fisherman. Something new and different in your tackle box every month. Every month, another excuse to get outside and do what you love. Don't let this one get away. The Box of Bait Club is currently accepting a limited number of pre-orders with subscriptions starting at $39.95 per month. Find out more now. Log on to boxofbaitclub.com.
I'm just so happy my father had a chance to see his kids before he passed. I just want to say thank you.
When her father fell ill, the American Red Cross was able to help get Veronica's brother home from the Navy to speak to his father one last time. It's thanks to your donations that we can connect military families when they need it most. Please donate today at redcross.org.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. And then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-616-8010. That's 1-800-616-8010. Again, 1-800-616-8010. Call now.
Are you tired of commuting to a job that makes someone else rich? Working harder than ever, but getting nowhere? Do you hate spending hundreds of dollars every week on daycare? Having someone else raise your children? With our opportunities, you can start earning money as soon as next week. You get to be the boss, work from home, and live a happier life. At Be the Boss Network, you'll find hundreds of work-from-home opportunities that you can literally start today and be earning money as soon as next week. Go to freedom133.com and start earning money as soon as next week. You get to be the boss. Get out of the rat race. Work from home. Go to freedom133.com right now and change your life today. That's freedom, the number 133.com. Go to freedom133.com and start earning money as soon as next week. You be the boss. Go to freedom133.com.
Attention business owners. We know that owning a business means getting things done right now. So if your right now list includes a new building, call the Right Now Company. General Steel. We can design a building for your business quickly and save you thousands of dollars. That's right, thousands. You may think General Steel only builds large projects or that you can't afford General Steel quality. Well, check these prices. How about a 40 by 60 foot building for under $22,000 or even a 50 by 100 for under $35,000? That's right, a 5,000 square foot building for under $35,000. And these buildings all have General Steel quality. Best of all, you can still order a building and have it delivered in time to build this year. How's that for right now? So if your right now list includes a new building, call the Right Now Company, General Steel.
800-393-5756. 800-393-5756. 800-393-5756. That's 800-393-5756.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
Boy, man, I had a rough night's sleep. Boy, I got a letter from the IRS yesterday, and I just couldn't sleep. Man, I'm dying here. Somebody help me.
IRS problems affect more than just your finances. If you're ready to take back control of your life and you owe more than $10,000, you need to call the tax doctor. Their expert staff can immediately protect you from the IRS and state collectors and get you the best possible tax settlement guaranteed. The IRS has recently released new programs geared in helping struggling taxpayers, where you may qualify to settle your tax debt and wipe out up to 85% or more of what you currently owe. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes, call the tax doctor right now. See if you qualify to pay less. 800-989-1694. 800-989-1694. 800-989-1694. Again, 800-989-1694.
You want to know what time it is? It's time to bring the rain.
Zinc Media. Feel the power of knowledge.
Welcome back to hour number 3, the fastest 3 hours of Internet Talk Radio. I got to tell you, man, that last hour especially just flew by. Man, I almost lost track of time, missed the clock almost a couple of times. But that's because, you know, having so much fun and time is just flying by. Again, welcome back to the Rod Eccles Show. I am, of course, your lovable host, L. Rod. I am coming to you live still from my bunkerized home studio, somewhere in the great granite state of New Hampshire, where the state motto is, say it, go ahead, let me hear you. Right, live free or die, not big government or bust. The phone number to call today, call-in number as it is every day, 603-835-3224, 603-835-3224. As we continue with this Wednesday, please, people, remember, you call in Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to noon. 9 a.m. to noon Eastern times, not 9 a.m. to noon Central, not 9 a.m. to noon Mountain or Pacific, 9 a.m. to noon Eastern time. Please note that if you call in before or after that stated time, you will get a voicemail. Nobody is available to take your call. Still getting a lot of calls. I understand some people can get confused about the time zone because they may be hearing this on a replay at 4 in the afternoon or something, and they forget because they get involved in the discussion and they forget that it is not live for them, and they try to call in. Well, sorry, but you're not going to be put on the air even if somebody did answer the call. Program's over for the day. So 9 a.m. to noon, just to Friendly, gentle reminder, 9 a.m. to noon Eastern time. That's when that call-in number is active. New York Daily News. Now, well, you'll see the. I'll put a link up on rodeccles.net for you to be able to see this picture. By the way, let me take what I don't do this, and I've been told by everybody and their brother and sister that's in the industry that I need to do more of this, and for whatever reason I don't do this. I just think that I shouldn't. Well, I don't want to sound like I'm self grandiose and self promoting all the time. But I guess since I have the mic and it's my show, why not tell a little bit about the stuff that I have to offer, like my social media accounts. Join them, follow them. Whatever the term is for that particular medium. Join the Facebook fan page, The Rod Eccles Show on Facebook, rodeccles.com/The Rod Eccles Show. We've approached 5,000 fans already. It's been a meteoric rise this year, in a year. I think just been growing. That page has been growing by leaps and bounds, and participation has gone through the roof. I mean, interaction and participation by other fans. Well, I don't know why they call them fans, because not everybody over there is a fan of mine. Yes, there are some liberals who belong to the page, and they're liberals because they comment. So do that. Follow the page. Get involved in the discussion. Here's your you can interact with like-minded people and get to see a few people who are not like-minded express their opinions, and whether or not you think that those opinions are accurate or not. And there's your chance to express your opinion on the topics at hand as well. Twitter. I mean, over 11,000 followers is what Twitter calls them, right? Yeah, over on Twitter. And look, I have conversations with people on Twitter. I do. I know it's 140 characters or less, and of late it seems like some of those conversations have been contentious because people are, I get Cruz people accusing me of being a Trumpite, and I get Trumpites accusing me of being a cruiser, and I get some Rubio people who think that I'm mamby-pamby, and I get some people who think I'm a wimpy person because I won't stay on the air who I support. But yeah, I get all that kind of stuff. And one of the things that you should use when you're over there, and you have me in your crosshairs on Twitter, is use the hashtag Bringing the Rain. You should use the hashtag Bringing the Rain. Let's see if we can get that hashtag up and running and really trending, shall we? Especially in this time of year. So hashtag Bringing the Rain. It's B-R-I-N-G-I-N-G. Or B-R-I-N-G-I-N-G. Bringing the Rain. Basically one word, Bringing the Rain. You know how hashtags work. Don't forget there's also Google+. Rod Eccles over at Google+. Now, Twitter, it's simple. It's at LRod. Or Rod Eccles. Either way works over there. Google+, it's Rod Eccles. Have a growing list. What do they call them on Google? Oh, circles. I'm being included in more and more and more people's circles over there on Google+. Put me in your circle on Google+, because you get some different stuff over there on Google+ than you do Facebook or Twitter. All it's different content for different. So and there is some content that's shared between all my social media accounts, but each one also has its own unique, exclusive content. So you might want to, join all three, follow all three, circle all three, and as well as LinkedIn. Rod Eccles over on LinkedIn. Totally different space over there versus the others. And Pinterest, Rod Eccles over on... See, I'm very difficult to find social media. I just use all these strange names. You can't you just search Rod Eccles at these different social media places and you find me. Go figure. I mean, I'm just so too creative with names. I know there are people that use all sorts of, SNs, specialty names or sign-in names or what have you. And I personally myself, it'd be very difficult for me to keep track of all that. I would. So I just like to keep things simple. It's just basically Rod Eccles across all the platforms that I'm on, and you find me. And if you go to a platform and you enter the words, the name Rod Eccles, and you don't find it, then that means I'm not on it. I'm not some secretive person. Trust me on that. I'm just not on it. As well as, going over to rodeccles.net, that's the hub for everything. It's the hub for this live show. It's the hub for all the social media. It's the hub for stuff that isn't even on the social media, any social media. Again, that's got exclusive stuff. It's the hub to go to other places that have articles that I have written and other pieces that I have written and done. It's the hub for everything. You want me to come speak at your group. You can find out how to do that over at rodeccles.net. A number of different places already. I'm already booked through pretty much through March, April, and May. So it's a good thing for me. But if you want me to come speak at your groups anywhere in the country, that's how you find out how you can get me to come out there. Is go over to rodeccles.net. You want to contact me somehow for some reason, for some other thing, you go over to rodeccles.net. You want to buy my book that is on Amazon Kindle, The Conservative Ecclesiastes. Go over to rodeccles.net and you'll get the direct link. By the way, the book is still only 99 cents. But you'll all kinds of stuff over at rodeccles.net. That is the hub for everything. So there is my self-aggrandizing self-promotion. There, rodeccles.net is the hub for everything Rod Eccles. Everything that matters. Anyway, the New York Daily News has put out a front pager that is highly insulting. And people know, it's no secret that the New York Daily News and Donald Trump don't get along. That's just putting it nicely. But now the New York Daily News, a media publication, a newspaper, the people that are supposed to be, objective and centrist and not leaning one way or the other, politically speaking, they just insulted the vast magnitude of voters in the state of New Hampshire. Because on their front page, which they are now under fire for, is highly insulting. It has a picture of a close-up of Donald Trump's face. But they've got they've photoshopped Donald Trump's face, putting makeup on it to make him look like the Joker from the Batman movies. Now they're mixing their metaphors here, by the way. They're mixing their metaphors. So they're saying that Donald Trump is the Joker, but that you people who voted for him are zombies. Now, I don't know how those two movies can ever, or TV shows, movies, doesn't matter. I don't know how those two can ever come together. Batman does not fight zombies. Batman fights the Joker. Joker does not make zombies. But in any case, the New York Daily News is under fire for its front page headline. The same news publication that told Ted Cruz to drop dead has a new headline on today's New York Daily News with that picture of Donald Trump, and beside it in big, bold, Walking Dead style font that reads, Dawn of the brain dead. Trump comes back to life to win New Hampshire. I didn't know Trump. I didn't realize that finishing a close second means that you're dead. I mean, look, we give silver medals to people who come in close second, right? I mean, you're second place, but you're still a winner in the Olympics, right? You come in third place in the Olympics and you're still a winner. You get a medal. So I don't know how being in second place means that you're dead, and all of a sudden you crush it in New Hampshire. Now you've come back to life from the dead, but all those people who voted for you, they're brain dead, by the way. So how do you come back to life if the people who brought you back to life are dead? Do you understand any of this? It is simply due to the extreme hatred from the left. You know, the left that says that everybody's supposed to be loving and caring and inclusive, and we include everybody's ideas. No, what a bunch of BS. What a crock. And they wonder why their readership is down. Because these liberal, lamestream printed newspapers are full of such tripe. Nobody believes them. Only those who've already drunk the Kool-Aid and say, yeah, they're all brain dead. Really? I think those people who voted for Sanders are more brain dead than the people who voted for Trump. Plain and simple. I mean, this is by far one of the most offensive things that a major newspaper in this country could. I mean, this is Banana Republic style journalism. It's not even journalism, but you know, it's a journalistic. It's supposed to be a journalistic newspaper, so we'll say that. But other than that, there's no journalism there. There's partisanship galore there, but no journalism. And can you believe that nonsense? That's well, if you want to put it on the editorial page, that's one thing. But you put it on the front page in full color. That's tabloidism. That's not news. Yeah, well, I know that a lot of newspapers say they're nothing but tabloids. Look, you got things like the Daily News and Post and things like that make publications like the Inquirer jealous. And if I were the Inquirer or those other, what we like to affectionately call rag mags, if I were any of them, I'd probably sue the lamestream media for stealing their ideas and stealing their platform and trying to steal their customers. These types of things that these lames, New York Daily, I'm putting a moratorium on anything that comes out of the New York Daily News. You will not hear or see anything else from this day forward from the New York Daily News on this program because they're untrustworthy, they're too biased, they're not journalists, they're liars. They're liars because they say they're journalists. They say they're non-committal journalists. I mean, they're centrist and center, middle of the road. They're not. They're lying to you. They're talking out of both sides of the mouth. So with that, I cannot trust them. I cannot trust their sources. I cannot trust their stories. I cannot trust the news organization, period, because they've proven time and time and time again to be untrustworthy to me. Now, you make your own determination about the New York Daily News, especially if you live within their distribution area, mainly New York City. New York City area. So you make your own determination. If you want to spend your money on it, fine, go ahead. If you want to support them by going to their website and doing other things, go right ahead. I am not going to contribute to them anymore. If I find them doing something or saying something via another publication, I'll mention it. But I am not going to support the likes of the New York Daily News. Just like I'm not going to support the likes of MS Mess or the Clinton News Network. I'm not going to support them. Plain and simple. I mean, I have to do some of the stuff I have to. It's kind of hard to try to cut some of them off because you need to have I need to be able to do my research to get the information so I can bring it to you on a daily basis. But when it gets to be this bad, it cannot be trustworthy. I mean, it was bad enough when they said when they're telling a presidential candidate, potentially the next president of the United States, to drop dead. I mean, that should have been enough for me to say to cut him off at the knees right there. But me being the very nice person I am, I believe in second chances. So I gave them a second chance. And they blew it by this. So you combine this title, calling all the New Hampshire voters brain-dead zombies, a complete and utter insult. Whether or not you voted for Trump or not, they still insulted you. I mean, this is centralized liberalism at its best. If you do not think like a liberal, then you must be a brain-dead zombie idiot. Because they know everything. All of their ideas are perfect. Even though none of their ideas have worked, they're still, their ideas are perfect. Their way of the world is the way everybody should view the world. Their vision of the world is the way everybody should view the world. Their way of believing how the world should work is the way that it should work. No other ideas are pertinent. No other ideas are valid. No other opinions are valid. Only theirs. If you agree with them, they love you. If you disagree with them, they will vilify, crucify, and hammer you. And I just cannot support a publication that is that overly oppressive and partisan. Now look, I can go to the Huffington Post and be okay with it because the Huffington Post doesn't make any qualms about them being left-leaning. They're a leftist organization. They admit it. Look, you're going to be honest about it. That's good. The New York Daily Post is lying to its readers by trying to tell them that they're not partisan, that they're middle of the road, and they constantly keep coming out with stuff like this. And their particular hatred for one private individual is beyond, it is just unbelievable. How you would get a national, well, they're not really national, but they do have some national reach. But you have a national publication that is supposed to be nonpartisan, that comes down time after time after time for the left side on this country, of the political aisle in this country, and demagoguing anybody who disagrees with them, especially those who are very successful, and point out how evil and partisan they are. Donald Trump has pointed this out to the New York Daily News, about the New York Daily News, time and time and time and time again, over years and years and years. This is not a new feud. This is an ongoing feud, but they have crossed the line one too many times for me. And it should be one too many times for you. Because that's not news, folks. It's not news when you declare an entire group of people, large group of people, in a particular state that they look down upon, by the way. We're a bunch of hicks and hayseeds up here in New Hampshire, according to New York Cityites and the New York Daily News. How do you support somebody who demagogues an entire population like that? Well, Rod, you do it. Yes, I'm a commentator. I am not a journalist, and I am not a news publication, and I don't pretend to be nonpartisan. There's a big difference. I can point out, the Huffington Post, they don't pretend to be a nonpartisan publication. If they would have said that, I still would have been upset, but I'd understand it and say, well, hey, it's just a, liberal media Huffington Post. But no, this came from a very well-respected newspaper that claims to be nonpartisan. In other words, what else is a New York Daily News lying about? Can you really, really, really trust such a publication? I can't.
Your credit score is a joke, and you're too embarrassed to let anyone know your 3-digit score. Sucks to be you, but it doesn't have to. Delete all those unsightly derogatory items, collections, charge-offs, repossessions, judgments, tax liens, bankruptcies, and foreclosures. To turbo boost your credit scores, call 888-541-5571 or visit us at 700creditnow.com. You've heard the old adage, cash is king. But in some cases, credit can be just as powerful as cash. Not many people have $200,000 to put down on a house, or $50,000 to put down on a car, or $25,000 to put down in a business. But look around and you'll find that millions of Americans do have homes and cars all purchased with little to no money down. To turbo boost your credit scores, call 888-541-5571. Again, that's 888-541-5571 or visit us at www.700creditnow.com.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. And then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-616-8010. That's 1-800-616-8010. Again, 1-800-616-8010. Call now.
Did you ever look at the stains in your coffee cup and then realize that's exactly what happens to your teeth? Power Swabs is the 5-minute solution to get your teeth white without visiting the dentist. This is Ben Gordon with Power Swabs, and if your teeth are stained from coffee, tea, or smoking, all it takes is 5 minutes with Power Swabs. In 5 minutes, you'll see an average of 2 shades whiter teeth, and in 7 days, 6 shades. It's clinically proven to whiten natural teeth as well as caps and veneers. The secret is a tooth detergent that was developed by Dr. Martin Ginniger that lifts stains off of your teeth. Best of all, there's no messy strips or trays that you have to leave in your mouth for an hour. Just swab your teeth for 5 minutes and you're done. To try Power Swabs risk-free, call 1-800-291-5140. That's 1-800-291-5140. I guarantee your bright white smile will have your friends talking about how great you look. Try it risk-free today. 1-800-291-5140. That's 1-800-291-5140.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 $3 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
When you're ready to take the edge off a hectic day, I suggest you start with a little music from Franz Black.
I guess there's lots of ways to look at things that don't seem right.
No Worries has just been released on iTunes and Amazon.
It's gonna be alright.
You can find Franz Black and his music on his website, friendsblack.com. Franz black.com.
It's gonna be alright.
Zero 835-3224 is the number to call should you wish to join me here live on the Rod Eccles Show. Still one of my favorite bumpers is that one. Love it to death. One of the things that has come across, speaking of trusting and not being able to trust the New York Daily News, is a notion of people trying to trust government. This is where you have all those wonderful people that voted for Bernie Sanders. They're putting their trust in government instead of themselves. Now, let's just take a couple of the quotes of the great Ronaldus Maximus, or Ronald Reagan. You know, everybody knows the term or the quote that Ronald Reagan says. He says, well, you know, the most terrifying words in the English language are, "I'm from the government and I'm here to help." Those words never rang more true. But here's the other thing that Ronald Reagan also said that rings true today. And, you know, because there was a question that was asked of Democratic candidates, what's the difference between a Democrat and a socialist? And what's the difference between a progressive and a socialist? And they refused to answer the question because the answer is there is no difference, but none of them wanted to answer that because then it would, you know, do something that Bernie Sanders is doing, is outing them. And they didn't want to be outed. That's why they don't like Bernie Sanders, because Bernie Sanders is an out and out. He's an out and proud socialist. And most of Democrats are trying to hide that fact because they know that the American people don't want socialism. They just try to ram it down our throat every chance they get. That's all. But another quote from Ronald Reagan is, "How do you tell a communist?" And he said, well, it's someone who reads Marx and Lenin. And he said, how do you tell an anti-communist? And he said, it's someone who understands Marx and Lenin. We got all these wonderful college students and millennials that are out there reading Saul Alinsky and reading Marx and reading about Lenin, but they don't understand anything about them. You hear all these idiots talking about how wonderful socialism is in the Nordic countries like Sweden and Finland and Norway and Denmark, and how they did such a great job over in Iceland and Greece and Spain, and they don't understand what's going on over there. Iceland, Greece, and Spain went broke. Sweden, Finland, Denmark, Norway have been trying to change their socialistic system. And if you're like Sweden, you change parts of it 3 times in about 30 years. But you don't hear that stuff because they don't understand it. But there are people who do understand it, which is why they cannot or refuse to tell you, give you the answer to what's the difference between a progressive and a socialist. Because they know there is no difference. So basically, they're lying to you. And it's just plain and simple. It's a lie by omission. And a lie by omission is still a lie. People are saying that Bernie Sanders is trustworthy. Well, on the surface, he is, as I explained earlier. I trust Bernie Sanders too, but I also understand Bernie Sanders. I just don't read Bernie Sanders. I understand Bernie Sanders. And I trust that Bernie Sanders will try to attempt to accomplish everything and more that he says he will try to accomplish. But since I understand him, I also know that he's not telling everybody that's supporting him the whole truth. He's lying by omission, yet these people trust him for the wrong reason. About 1/3, this is from Newsmax, about 1/3 of New Hampshire Democrats say their choice for president should be an honest and trustworthy person. Now, there's 2 scary parts about that. One, the first and most glaring thing that you probably think is not the main reason, but I'm going to tell you what it is that you're going to say that, oh, but these people, they trust Bernie? And that some of them trust Hillary? Yeah, that's a problem. That really is, but that's not the number one problem. The number one problem with that statement is only 1/3 of them say that their choice should be for an honest and trustworthy person. That means 2/3 of them are more than willing to support somebody that they believe and know is not honest and trustworthy. Do you understand that? See, this is where people read stuff, but they don't understand stuff. Here's the problem. About 1/3 of New Hampshire Democrats say that their choice for president should be honest and trustworthy. And those who did vote based on that qualification overwhelmingly voted for Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders. What it should have read was, about 2/3 of New Hampshire Democrats say that honesty and trustworthiness has no place in deciding or making their decision for president. And based on that, of those who did vote, overwhelmingly voted for 2 people who do not exude honesty and trustworthiness. That's when you begin to understand the left. Don't listen to what they say. Listen to what they don't say. That'll tell you more about anyone, left or right, than what they do say. I know you hear people say, well, actions speak louder than words. Well, a lot of times we don't have enough history or action by these people to determine them. So you got to listen to what they don't say. Bernie Sanders talks about fairness in raising taxes, but what he doesn't say is how he's going to tax, who he's going to tax, and how much he's going to end up taxing. What he doesn't say is that even though he's going to raise taxes, it's still not going to pay for all his programs, and we're still going to run a deficit and still grow the debt, national debt. That's what he doesn't say. He doesn't say that government is going to take control of your life by implementing his programs. He just tells you that it's going to be free. But that free stuff is going to cost you. What he doesn't tell you is that free stuff is going to cost you your freedom. Listen to what they do not say, and then you will fully understand them. Trustworthiness obviously doesn't run very deep in political circles. Washington Post reports this story. FBI arrests nearly all of the top officials of Crystal City, Texas. Now, as I was reading this story, I saw something very glaring. Again, what do they not say? 5 out of 6 top officials of this small Texas city were arrested last week under federal indictment, accusing them of taking tens of thousands of dollars in bribes and helping the operator of an illegal gambling operation who went by the name Mr. T. Now, what they did not say is more important than what they did say. Washington Post here. Now, the Washington Post points out that one of the city fathers, elected officials, was a Republican. One. The other 4 officials that they did mention by name, they did not list party affiliation. Now, why did they list one of them as a Republican? The party affiliation of one who was a Republican, and not the other 4. Because if you just listened to them or just read them, you would have missed it. But if you read what they did not print, you would fully understand that those other 4 people, because they did not list them as Republicans, are most likely Democrats. So, folks, here's a lesson on reading between the lines. And we're talking people that are accused of illegal substance, narcotic trafficking, human trafficking. Yes, well, it's Texas, why not? Human trafficking and other high crimes and misdemeanors from elected officials. That were most likely Democrat. But yet, only 1/3 of Democrats in New Hampshire say that trustworthiness and honesty is an important determination in voting for someone and supporting someone. But remember, what they don't print and say is that 2/3 of Democrats basically say that trustworthiness and honesty doesn't matter. As long as they say they're going to implement this agenda that they believe in, they're all for them. How else do you still explain all of the massive support behind Hillary Clinton? There are very few people, even on the Democratic side, that can honestly tell you that they trust and believe that Hillary Clinton is honest and trustworthy. Very few. But yet they will gloss over all of her problems, not just the email issue. We're talking going back decades to her time as the First Lady of Arkansas. They gloss over all of that stuff, Whitewater. We know that they made illegal money off of Whitewater. They don't care about it. That doesn't matter. It's because Hillary Clinton is saying what they want her to say. They are hearing what she says, and that's what they like. All that other stuff, that only counts for Republicans. That only counts for conservatives. Hillary's a defender of women's rights. Well, what has she done to defend women's rights? But, to help the Saudis and other countries that hate women, what has she done? Well, probably nothing, but she says she's for women's rights. She says she's for gay rights, but she's even voted against gay marriage before. She, like Obama, she never supported gay marriage until that one fateful day back in 2008 and in 2012 that she decided to, well, yeah, let's support gay marriage now because it's going to garner votes for us. But that doesn't matter. They'll gloss it over and say, oh, she finally became enlightened to support. What? Are you kidding me? Do you honestly think that she really all of a sudden had a change of heart? Or do you think maybe she was pandering for your vote and your money? Yeah, that's more like it. So she gets up there and with her shrill voice and say, and we're gonna keep fighting for women's rights. Really? You're not fighting for women's rights overseas. These women are dying and being mutilated left and right, not fighting for them. We're going to fight for gay rights. Really? You were against gays until 4 years ago. We're going to fight for this kind of right and healthcare rights. And these are all human rights. And we're going to fight for human rights. Really? You've got a body count behind you. And it's hard to believe that you're not directly responsible for at least some of them. If anything, you're at least indirectly responsible for all of them. Life is a human right. Let's forget the abortion argument here. We're talking about people who are already born, who are already living, who are already eating, breathing, drinking, all that kind of stuff that ended up dead because of you. What about their rights? But yet and still, none of that matters to Hillary supporters. That lack of honesty, that lack of trustworthiness does not matter. That's the scary part. The scary part is 2/3 of Democrats do not care about honesty and trustworthiness. Well, let me ask you, if they do not care about honesty and trustworthiness, do you think maybe 2/3 of Democrats themselves really aren't all that honest and trustworthy? I think you would be right. That's the scary part. That's the real story. I find it interesting that when you read liberal-leaning publications and they talk about all of these corrupt politicians, they rarely mention if somebody is a Democrat, but they will almost always tell you when they're a Republican. Even in the same damn story, the Washington Post points out directly the one Republican that gets arrested out of the 5. The other 4, no party affiliation mentioned at all, which means they're Democrats. Most likely. And understand, they were all elected. It's one thing to have appointed officials, yeah, but these people were elected. Texas. Supposedly a Republican conservative stronghold, but it seems like, that they're making inroads in Texas as well, especially around the Austin, Texas area. It's is turning very liberal, I guess. It's this liberal microcosm in the middle of Texas. They arrest 5 out of 6 city council members. 5 out of 6. One guy shows up to work. He's the only one there because the other 5 are in jail. But trustworthiness and honesty, according to 2/3 of Democrats, is not all that important. And the reason why it's not important is simply because if it were important, they wouldn't be voting Democrat. They wouldn't be voting for the socialists. By the way, talk about big city Wall Street insiders. Another Obama administration member gets a great deal with J.P. Morgan, Wall Street Bank. Former Treasury Secretary Timothy Geithner. This is from Bloomberg. Former Treasury Secretary Timothy Geithner gets a J.P. Morgan credit line to invest with Warburg Pincus. Warburg Management pledged $800 million for a $12 billion fund. Credit lines obviously can help executives meet such commitments. Now, former U.S. Treasury Secretary Timothy Geithner is preparing to borrow from J.P. Morgan Chase & Company to help fund his new career in private equity. Geithner secured a credit line with J.P. Morgan, one of the largest banks he oversaw during the financial crisis, to finance personal investments in funds started by his current employer, Warburg Pincus, according to a filing with the New York Department of State. He is borrowing money to invest in a $12 billion private equity fund that the firm raised in November. Its first main fund since he joined almost 2 years ago. So Geithner, Treasury Secretary, who on the surface kept talking about the evil Wall Street banks and how they needed to be more regulated, and stood firmly behind Frank and Dodd when they wanted to regulate and re-regulate and over-regulate banks again. Now, did the government bail out J.P. Morgan? They did a little bit. So Geithner leaves the Obama administration, steps down as Treasury Secretary, goes to work for a company, and in a short couple of years later is able to secure a line of credit, $800 million worth, it appears, in order to invest into in a $12 billion equity fund. Maybe that's some of the stuff that Bernie Sanders was trying to say about Hillary. You know, Hillary Clinton's done similar stuff. Maybe that's what he was talking about. But again, Geithner was already a tax cheat. We know that. That's well documented. He did things on his taxes that most other Americans get thrown in jail for, and he didn't even get really slapped with anything. But yet he's able to get away with it and get appointed to positions of high power in government because, what, 2/3 of Democrats freely admit that honesty and trustworthiness, not a big deal, not very important in their government officials. All they have to do is say that they believe in the same things that the voter, believes in. If you believe in regulation, and you say it, go for it. It doesn't matter if you actually do it or not, because if you don't get it accomplished, you're just going to blame the Republicans for blocking you anyway. It doesn't matter that you have the House and the Senate and the presidency for 2 years. You're still going to blame the Republicans for blocking you when they couldn't have blocked you at all. And indeed, they didn't. But hey, it's still the fact that it doesn't matter if they're honest or trustworthy or not. Doesn't matter. Not according to Democrats. Doesn't matter. I know, would that change your mind? If you believe in honesty and integrity and trustworthiness, would it change your mind to know that all of this stuff, all of this questionable, potentially illegal activity, and all the lies that come from the left, would that change your position at all? If you were a person who believed in honesty and integrity, or would you say that it doesn't matter simply because they say they're for the same things that you say that you're for? Look, there are people on the right that say that they're for the same things that I'm for. But if I do not trust them, if I do not believe them to be honest or trustworthy, I won't support them. And you will find that is the majority of Republican voters think that way. Now, right or wrong? A lot of them trust Trump. Right or wrong? I don't know. So far, Trump, if you look at Trump and his history, basically what he said that he was going to do or try to do, he's done. And he's proven time and time again that he can be trusted with certain things. That's why a lot of people support him. Cruz, the same thing. And then when it comes into play, why people don't trust Rubio is because they don't believe him on certain issues. He's not trustworthy on some of that stuff at all. And because he's not, people are not paying attention to him and not trusting him anymore. So there's a lack of support, a lack of trust. That's important to people, but not to Democrats. Well, obviously this sound means that we're out of time for today, but don't fret. We'll be back here tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat channel. Of course, you know who's up next, Rush and Hannity. Have a wonderful day, a wonderful evening. See you tomorrow morning. I'm Rod Eccles. This has been The Rod Eccles Show. I'm out.